What up, guys? I'm here around Battery Park. As you can see, man, it's a beautiful, beautiful sight. I'm a visual person, so like one of the first books that got me into reading in general, or series, books or a book, the book or series was a series of unfortunate events. Sorry, I'm very touched right now about the topic. It's a huge topic, very humbling topic. Well, humbling message, humbling story, right? But the topic is riveting. But one of one of one of the one of the first steps I want to put out is diversity. You might say, "What the hell are you talking about?" Well, diversity meaning it's kind of like the saying, um, "This is not everybody who's this person." Like it's not absolute. But if you have money or a little bit of money or a little bit of stability, that doesn't apply to you as far as like if you're humble or not. But take this take a rich person and make them poor for a day, and take a poor person and make them rich for a day. I don't know if this is a trendy that's a trendy thing to say as far as like in the the self help community, whatever they call it. But um it's not about like your goal shouldn't be money only. Your goal should be just always have goals, period. I'm not the one to say what to do or whatever, but only for me. But what's wrong with having goals forever? If you haven't done something, do something new. If you haven't done stand up comedy, do stand. You don't have to be funny. You don't have to be somebody who likes comedy. Just do it. And it's not. I'm not talking about a one time thing. I'm talking about things that you normally don't do. You do, and then you find out not only that money isn't the answer or whatever you think that's happiness, you find that happiness is sustainable. You have to sustain it in order to keep it risen. At least from my experience in life, I'm one of those like happy people who is only happy because I'm sad, and self-awareness and all that stuff is why you're sad and depressed and all that stuff, or clinically depressed. Your upbringing, a lot of drama, poverty, realities. Um, you don't have the same reasons as somebody who's a different lifestyle. So um, your language is different, your culture is different. Um, a lot of things are different, but one of the problems with that, like pointing out differences and all that stuff all the time, and actually being part of your subconscious is it separates people. And honest to God, that's one of the most that's one of the most amusing yet sad things I've ever seen in my life. Like if you do it without even knowing you do it, I'm not trying to be hard on you. I'm hard on myself as it is, but like you don't even realize how like the way you live, the clothes you buy is almost based off what you were taught, what you were taught to be the standard, or what you was taught to be happiness, or whatever, whatever. And your goal is to be different, not different as in like as an individual, different as in I'm not like them, I'm not like them, I'm not like them. Nothing wrong with that, but the one problem I can think of is it divides people as far as um, not wanting to learn from other people that don't have what you have, or don't have an afro like you have an afro, um, who ain't as funny. So what a lot of news does nowadays, I'm not sure back then, but from my research and stuff like that, and asking other people who are much older than me, is um, it's driven. It's an opinionated, driven outlet for people who don't care about the facts. And what happens is when you don't care about the facts, you divide people even more. I can't say a particular subject or whatever, but generally speaking, you know, the media is one of the most powerful forms on the planet. And when you're living in one of the most powerful countries in the world, and it not only is unashamed of slandering names, putting false news out there, fake news, whatever, they are in control in other ways. They influence the police, the politicians. The politicians influence the corporations influence the police. I mean the politicians, the cops influence. So it's like a pyramid. Like once you understand like the structure of society, you would realize a lot of the problems as far as separation is. I mean, look at history. One of the problems is so, these people want to stay on top, and the other ones just want to live equally. So what happens when you have more people who are greedy, who not only it's not that they're smarter than you, it's just that they're slicker with you, and their intent is to do that. So it's kind of like the art of war, Sun Tzu. What happens when they get their hands on a little bit of power, a little bit of money? They make loopholes, and these little things that happen in society happen on a greater scale, a bigger scale. Um, so yes, systematic racism exists. Racism just racism don't doesn't just exist. Systematic racism exists. Um, back in the day, I mean, 100, 200 years ago, the rich whites, the rich whelps slash whites, they convinced the poor whites to tell them that they're better than the blacks, that you're not, you're half of a man as me. So that same psychological trauma trickled down to all the way to now to today. A lot of the time you'll find a black person who has a lot of money, who or even doesn't have a lot of money. Their 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 expectations of success is white based, meaning buy 5 cars, own this garage, whatever. The white person is like, I already have that. That's gonna go down to my kids. So in other words, obviously, I'm not leaving out like the fact that they're 300, 400 years ahead, but I'm also not leaving out that collectively, if we all understand the structure of society from a nerdy perspective and from a school educational perspective, not just street smart perspective, but multiple angles, you'll realize what you can do to lessen the problems on a smaller to bigger scale, and then you'll go from there. I'm one person. I'm doing what I got to do. I'm in school, whatever. I made mistakes in life. I always own up to my mistakes. That was one of the biggest difference between me and almost every peer I ever encountered. Like a lot of people throughout my life, and it's inspired me just as much as I inspire them. Um, One of the things that drives me is not letting people think that separation is the goal outside of what black people have in mind. What I mean by that is there's very few black people out here who say this. We need to be separated from the wicked people in power. We need to be separated from the system. It's not that they're saying we don't want to be around this race, that race, or this people, this people. They're saying the system, the people who run the system, that keep this going. Um, the system that started out with freedom of speech, the First Amendment, the Bill of Rights, the Constitution. Um, for example, the legislator. I don't know if it was a legislator, but one of them. Like I'm not good with that as far as like the memory of it. I got a bad memory now, but I think it was the Senate. I might be wrong, but they denounced Trump's bill to build that wall or whatever the case, or pretty much like not let immigrants in or something like that. Something with immigrants. And one of the main reasons, obviously, is it goes against our Constitution. Well, my thing is, look how many things that goes against the Constitution that they cause. A lot of the police injustice with the police, a lot of the injustice in the law department, there's a lot of corruption. They think that they can lessen corruption by making more laws. My thing is you have to educate and train people to respect the law first. I got ticks on me. um, it starts with self. It starts with your character. You know, and I don't care who you are. You can always learn from somebody else. That's just my thing. You can always learn, and my thing is not everything is based off superficiality, or should be, because there's somebody who's say they middle class. They were given they were like what Caucasian people have is generational wealth. They a lot of their wealth was passed down, and one of the biggest reasons is systematic racism. Um, but it's not their fault. But what is what is our all our fault is politicking over things that shouldn't matter. The root of it is rearrange the people in office, rearrange the people in power, because they know that if they keep this up, it's going to only get worse and worse and worse. And we're not even 1,000 years in. We're like a few hundred years in, and it's gotten worse since it's not as far as like the progression of America, but it's gotten worse as far as what people are being able to get away with. Yes, you have your laws. Like we have way more laws than ever, but still, like you got people who have taxation without. You have people with representation that can buy off or get through whatever they got going on. There's a lot of people who, especially immigrants, that have taxation without representation. Um, and if you really analyze a lot of these laws, they don't even make sense in the first place. As for even on the common sense level, somebody breaking, I heard, like, I'm not sure if this is true, but I heard that in California, if somebody breaking your house and you shoot them, I think it could be a flesh wound or whatever. I think if just bottom line, if you shoot them, you go to jail. Now, to the average person, that's probably dumb. But here's what I'm saying: since we do live in a democracy, we need to start looking at it really closely and honestly. A lot of people think that democracy is not hypocrisy, but if you look at history and what people are being able to get away with, and people who are being treated treated unfortunate and, and unequally in the court of law, they know their rights. Hell, not everybody who is in jail slash prison is a criminal. They had a biased as jury. Um, it's a lot of like layers to what I'm saying. It's not black and white. It's not because I'm a judge, I'm righteous. No, it's I'm a judge and I can do anything I want, regardless of what you think, and I can get away with it. So it's not only like those type of people who have those type of positions, but a lot of them were, as far as the mindset and the agenda, they've been conditioned like that. So as far as my people, and I'm talking about as many as you are, like even on my channel, like I don't care how many it is. It's up to us, not only with money, but with what we have, to start building our own and creating our own programs and organizations. Because think about it, every like almost every culture has it as far as it's in America. Hell, in New York, for example, freaking Chinatown. You can go to Chinatown. We go to everybody's block, everybody's neighborhood, make them rich, but they don't go to ours. They don't go to ours. We have soul food restaurants here and there, but it's not many. But yes, there's a lot of work to do, and there's a lot of um, with no doubt about it, no excuse, like a lot of corruption and injustice. And from my understanding of from my understanding of the universe, that's supposed to be like that as far as conflict in the universe. It's supposed to be like that. It's supposed to be a yin yang effect. So what we can do to lessen it is to work on the little things, like what I'm saying in this video. I'm not saying this. This is a really different video than I usually post, but I'm not saying this because I have all the answers or I have the answer. I'm saying I have something to say and I have perspectives. If I was a major in history or whatever, I'm pretty good in history. Um, in my daily life, I try to control my karma. I grew up fighting a lot. I grew up rebelling a lot and questioning authority a lot. I've been defiant since I was born, and it's no coincidence that I do stand up to this day. So, and other things, but mainly stand up. I never aspired to do stand up ever. I was into acting, and then stand up. It was no coincidence. So in other words, like, I'm not saying I have the perspectives. I'm saying like you can take what you learn here and there, whether it's what I talked about in this video, and apply it to your own life. It could be the smallest thing. I definitely don't have it all together. Like, all I'm saying is I try to remind myself of what I already tell myself or you, or just know. And it's the reminders and the conditioning that is the most important part. Um, Bruce Lee said, "I'm not afraid of a man who practices 1,000 kicks. I'm afraid of a man that practices one kick 1,000 times." You know, and you know, I don't know. I'm just looking at it from as far as the demographic of black people, as far as the conditioning, what's the standard of success? Money, 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 money. Money is a tool. Money is a tool, man. education is a tool. I wasn't always into actually. This is a damn well solid truth. I was not the school type most of my life. I was a person that just liked to have fun and learn in many different ways, and I had a focus problem in general anyway. But I've always had a need to learn, and not only need to learn, but like insanely. Like I don't care how, because I always find or try to find something to learn from whatever that I am aware of or acknowledge. It sounds like it sounds like I'm an insane person, but that's one of the only ways I knew that I could survive based off like just survive meaning my well-being, not physically like dying, but like my well-being, my strength, my resilience, my perseverance. Because there's some people out there who you can beat till they bleed, but they'll 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 revive you basically opened up a new door past their limit. Now they know their limit. Now they can test your limits. It's kind of like that. So as far as like history and stuff, I wasn't the person that like hated history, but I just hated a lot of stuff that was that existed at school that needed to change and evolve and be up to date because we're using a we're using a 200-year-old system. Hell, most of the stuff in school, as far as public school in America, ain't what you need to know. They teaching you what they want you to know. What you need to know is not being taught. And if they taught you what you need to know, you wouldn't be in the position you are in today. One of the things you need to know is self awareness, self development, not self perfection. That's some human trait type stuff. That's something that you can't help but do. Um, we all try to perfect something in our life. I don't care who you are. I don't care how modest you are. We all try to find that one thing that we try to perfect until we change it, just leave it. But one of the things, like that's why you didn't graduate on time. It's because you were enlightened. You were informed. You wasn't miseducated. You was informed. You basically said exactly what Malcolm X said in class, and you backed it up. Maybe you had points. You said democracy is hypocrisy, and then you had points about it and justifications. And a teacher or whatever would try to whatever their intent is, their action was the opposite. Belittle you, put you down, not want to hear you out, say you're wrong, whatever it is. Whatever the intent is, it could be good, period. Their action is totally different. I want to make a side note. Intent is not the same as action. A lot of people make that mistake. They say, "Oh, my intentions are good," but your action was horrible. But to stay on point, one of the reasons why you didn't graduate, from what I've seen a lot of people use the excuse of, "Oh, he was lazy, this or that," but there's layers to everything. That's what I believe. Yes, there's some people who are not the type of person to run society one day, or help run society, but and they just want to like get money and just lay around, whatever, survive, right? They just want to survive. That's a basic human need. Um, but you were enlightened, you were self-aware, you self-educated. Rebel means self-educate, question authority. That's the right definition of a rebel. um, Reckless is another thing. um, so once you're this person who's a rebel and you survived while being a rebel and you're trying to work your way backwards. You're trying to do things to make up for the mistakes you made and slash the mistakes that weren't really mistakes. They were just choices for the better and the bigger picture of society, your community, humanity, and yourself. You ain't do it just to do it. You had valid points, and you knew this all was a monopoly game. All of this right here Everything you see, everything you see is a Monopoly game. Everything, and you have to know the rules to the game. So one of the reasons why you didn't probably graduate is because you were self-aware, which is rare. Self-aware people don't manifest superficial stuff as the big picture. They'll manifest it for, I guess, a want, but the bigger picture is change for the good, change for just, change for morality, change, change, change. Visionaries trump conventional wisdom, or they try to. They'll take what they can take what they get from conventional wisdom, but eventually they want to overthrow it and create new ideals to practice. And when you're this person, with this defined person, in a system structured and designed to not wake people up, you're not going to go as far as you would if you listen, conform, and bow down and put your tail between your legs. And I'm not knocking anybody who listens. Um, as far as in school, I'm not knocking you. I'm saying, I'm saying, you didn't know. You probably don't know. You probably 36, talking about, oh, I didn't think of it that way. You're not supposed to because they're trying to keep this information from you. They kill all people like me because we're quote unquote what the trendy word nowadays is woke, conscious. So keep that in mind. You're not. It's not a matter of the blame game of guilt. It's oh, I didn't know. I feel bad. No, you don't have to always feel bad because you didn't know. Ignorant. That's all ignorant is not to know. I went off most of my life. I went off my intuition. I'm an intuitive person. To this day, I'm a little bit more practical, and you know what I'm saying. But I'm definitely an intuitive person, and I can tell like when somebody's lying before the average more so than the average person. I can tell a lot of things. I can see through a lot of stuff. So this triggered listening to and paying attention to this intuitiveness triggered um, what you call the spiritual awakening phase. Some of the symptoms are depression. You can even be diagnosed with depression, clinical depression, bipolar disorder, which I have. Is way more managed now than ever. Some people don't believe I'm bipolar because I'm so managed, but there's works to it, and it's understanding your disorder too. It's understanding your mental illness that helps you manage it more. Um, so long story short, like like a man trying to feed his family, one of the most common things I got angry about, and I'm only a kid, keep that in mind, was people not understanding me the way I want to be understood. Therefore, I can't get what I want. Um, Maybe you're an emotional person. I don't know. I'm way less emotional than I used to be. It's nowhere near how not emotional like sissy, but emotional as in you know you value certain things and you're more passionate about it on the in the emotional body. Um, but long story short, everybody's freaking different. Um, but my point is that this thing called self-reflection is extremely revolutionary. You got a lot of like studies out there, even false studies. I'll show you how to get a chick. First of all, like that's too general of a freaking thing to say. I'm gonna help you find a chick. get this chick. I'll help you get any woman you want. Yes, from a social perspective or construct, like most people are social programmed to socialize a certain way, right? Most women are socialized to go after certain things, like as far as like similar needs or similar wants. They're not programmed to to know what they need to know. They're programmed to know what they want them to know. Men for men it's the same thing. So going back to the history point, if you look at history, TV wasn't around. That's an obvious thing to say, but think about how deep that is. TV wasn't around. TV is not even the same as it was, from my research, as in the 70s, the 80s. It's the same. It's television programming, television programming. Back in the day, James Evans from the show Good Times, alpha male, ran his household, did his thing, was disciplinary, great father, whatever, provided for his family. Fast forward 30 plus years later. What does TV do? TV, your beloved TV, they put men on TV that act buffoonery, foolish. There's no alphas no more. That's just an example, but that's a huge freaking example. They don't want the out. If you look out into other fields, I don't care what it is, child support system. Why is why is it almost every black man with a case for child support? They teach you who's in control based off. This might be a dumbass statement. They teach you who's in control based off who's in control already. Who controls the media? Who controls the laws? Who controls this? Who controls that? It was this movie. I forgot what it was called, but it probably was Dr. King. I don't know. It was about Martin Luther King Jr., the great Luther King Jr. And the cop was making the my black people um walk away, you know, and like he was like, get out of here, and then he said, well, I have a badge, I have the law on my side, and Dr. King said, you may have the law on your side, but we have morality. So my point is that it's not only just control, it's a morality control thing. It's people confusing hypocrisy with morality. Like, just think about that. It's a lot of stuff I'm saying is something that you just have to pause the video with and marinate and just look into life, look into your own life, and ask yourself, is what I'm saying true? And if it's not, then shit. I don't care. I don't mind. But this is more than just observation. So, like I said earlier, before I end this video on the conclusion, one of the best things you can do is know how things work and why things work. And one of the biggest things we're dealing with more than ever now, I'm talking about on a global scale, mostly America, but on a global scale, is a lot of people buying into being anti-intellectual, anti-kindness, racist, bigot, unlawful, unjust. And the most shallow and lazy response you can say is, because I want it to be. Really? That's the response. I want it to be. So my final say in conclusion is the blame game can only go so far. Michael Jackson said, I'm being very cliche at the end of the video, but it fits what I'm about to say so much. Michael Jackson said it best. He wrote a song. All I want to say is that they don't really care about us. All I want to say is that they don't really care about us. He told you in that song they don't really care about us. What really was going on? Who's doing the corruption? Who's really the enemy? Because America historically has always act like the victim when really they're the biggest bully. So that right there is the biggest contradiction in this country. Most stuff we do is contradictory, very contradictory. He said, if you want to change the world, look in the mirror and make a change. On an individual level, on a self-made level, that's where it starts. Expecting these people who's in power to do something for us, not even just from a survival standpoint. I'm talking about nutrition. I'm talking about self-awareness. I'm talking about what we need or even what we forgot. As far as I'm speaking directly to black people, what we forgot and what we had, which was our culture that was taken from us when we came when we was captured and brought here. And then you look on TV and think that that always was us, when really it wasn't. That's a program you. That's a manufactured version of you. Not saying it's a totally bad thing. It's change and it happens and it's constant, but it's not the narrative that we wrote. One of the most important things is to control your narrative. Don't let no one control your narrative. Know where you came from. Egyptian culture, empires. So I'm gonna end it on here, and my next top video I'm gonna let you know on Instagram what it is. Thank you everybody for watching my videos, especially Jeanette. Jeanette, you rock hard. Like Dion too. You watch my videos. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Share, share, share. Um, like I said, it's just perspectives. It's not like I have the answers. It's just perspectives. I'm not claiming to be no damn God or whatever. Even though I come from royalty, you know what I'm saying? I'm not claiming to be nothing. I'm just here learning just like you. You know, I'm just here. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm flawed as fuck. I'm no different than you. One of the biggest keys is to not feed into that we all need to be separated from each other as the freaking solution. When really we need to be separated from this bigot ass system. That's the only way we can figure out who we are and where we came from. Um, if you have a Before I go, if you have a certain lifestyle, if you have a particular lifestyle that you don't want to give up, I'm not trying to sound provoking, or I'm not trying to force you to be a certain way. All I'm here is to do is like maybe give you something you never thought about. Something you probably took for granted. Man, I don't want to give this up, don't want to give that up. I get that. I totally understand that. But look at all the NFL players that didn't take a knee when Kaepernick took a knee. Do you want to go out like them? Something to something to marinate extremely on. Do you want to go out like those? I'll say it to their face. I'm only 150. I'm only 155 pounds. I'm 5 foot 8.5. Do you want to go out like a lot of these NFL players that didn't take a knee when Kaepernick took a knee? So it goes back to my point. when you learn the structure of what is and what wasn't, how things work, why things work, from like a scientist, that's when we make change. The blame game is always going to happen. It's up to us on an individual scale to make change from a self-awareness perspective, self-development perspective, economic perspective, um, re-educating on our past culture perspective, all kind of things, right? It's not about money all the time. It's not just about money. It's about training your mind, training your body, soul first, and then going from there. Because money ain't the freaking goal. It shouldn't even be the goal. The goal should be much more than that. I said should. I didn't say you have to do it. I'm saying like this is what I believe. So if your definition of success is money, I can't say nothing. That's this probably you probably are just breed different, but you know, if you have a like I said, if you have a lifestyle that don't want to give up because you don't because you want to speak truth to power, you about truth, whether you white, black, Hispanic, whatever. But if it's the truth, especially if you black, and you don't want to give that up, that's between you and the man in the mirror or the woman in the mirror. On my end, personally, I try not to judge. You know what I'm saying? I try not. I'm talking about like when in terms of huge issues, like as far as in our character and as far as us being human and what the choices that we make, the bad choices we make, like your son throwing the ball in the window, not meaning that, big issue. Um, I try, but that's all I'm gonna say. But everybody who's listened, thank you. Please share my videos, like I said. Um, I'm gonna end it here. I'm gonna probably, you know, how do you say, put the link down below on Insta, and enjoy my night. And gonna head back to a place. And yeah, just let me know what you think. If you disagree, then I don't mind. Like that's what I'm here for. I'm not, what I'm saying. Like, in case if somebody watches this and you don't know me, I'm not the type of person to delete you because you have an opinion. I'm naturally a challenger. I'll walk into a policeman's face and be like, I'll try to reason with him and try to like get some morality out of him if he's not moral. But I'm not gonna like keep talking to him because I know he's not moral. He's evil. So why keep talking to somebody that's evil? You can't negotiate with evil. You know what I'm saying? So you know, Art of War is Sun Tzu. that's my checkout quote. But yeah, thanks for watching, and tune for next video.